5 Invisible movies under their belts, it would seem that Universal Pictures was done with The Invisible Man. Aha, it would only seem as such. Well, they weren't quite done yet, because The Invisible Man would meet one of the world's most iconic comedic duos in Abbott and Costello Meet the Invisible Man, which was released in theaters March 19th, 1951. And this would be the third film where the comedic duo would meet famous monsters in a film series that would turn out to be a saga. Yeah, you had Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein from 1948, which features Dracula, the Wolfman, and of course Frankenstein's monster. And in 1949, you had Abbott and Costello Meet the Killer Boris Karloff, which features, it features Boris Karloff. And you had Abbott and Costello Meet Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde from 1953. And in 1955, we have Abbott and Costello Meet the Mummy. So there you have 5 films that arguably tie in to other monster movies. Now, of course, the most famous of this film series is Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. And like I said, it featured Dracula, the Wolfman, and Frankenstein's monster, but also has a cameo from the Invisible Man at the end. Well, I mean, it's kind of a cameo. You can't really see him, can you? You know? And this disembodied voice was portrayed by Vincent Price. And what's weird is the Invisible Man is one of the characters that Vincent Price is associated with. And it's arguable that it's because of this movie and not The Invisible Man Returns. But I don't know. All I'm saying is, when Abbott and Costello meet the famous movie monsters in these 5 films, I think it's one of the most underrated film sagas of all time. And it's not because nobody talks about these movies or nobody knows about them. Of course they do. It's because they're never associated with other monster movies, and they really should be. Here's what I mean, and it really all comes down to the Universal Monsters Classics Collection, which of course is a VHS library that contains all of the Universal Monster movies, even the really shitty ones. But you know what's not in this video library? Any of the Abbott and Costello monster movies. Even though they really should be. I mean, Abbott and Costello is a Universal property, and of course the Universal monsters are, so what the hell? Now, I know what you're saying. But Captain Adam, why would they have comedies in a monster movie collection? Which is a good point, and typically I would agree if it wasn't for the Invisible Woman being part of this collection. Yeah, I mean, this movie's obviously a comedy. They describe it as wacky on the back of the fucking VHS case. So why would you let this movie in, but not the Abbott and Costello movies? I'm not sure. It just seems like a missed opportunity and a bit unfair. Now, Abbott and Costello Meet the Invisible Man was released on VHS multiple times, but with nowhere near the pageantry or recognition of the Universal Monsters Classics Collection. Instead, you get these distributions, which have layout designs that look like you bought them at a dollar store. And you know what else? This distribution is a 1992 distribution. 1992? Why does that year sound familiar? Oh yeah, that's one of the pivotal years of the Universal Monsters Classics Collection. And this is a Universal Home Video distribution, the same distribution company responsible for the Universal Monsters Classics Collection. So why didn't they include this? I'm okay now. And then you have this piece of shit distribution. I mean, look at that. It looks terrible. It looks cheap. Okay, in fairness, maybe it's an early distribution. Like maybe it's from 86 or 87. No, this is from 2000. 2000! That late in VHS history, and we're getting shitty layouts like this. You would think they knew what they were doing by now. Okay, so maybe it's some third-party distributor. No, it's Universal Home Video. I don't know, it just seems like people should care a little more about these films than they do. I mean, at least the VHS distributors should care a little more. So yeah, you can find either of these piece of shit distributions for very cheap today and very easily.